Parliament, many times people confuse Parliament with members of Parliament. Parliament is an institution.
And Parliament is the cornerstone of democracy. Honorable Speaker, in terms of the rule of a modern state, rule of law is important, democracy is important, but also an efficient bureaucracy is important. And in that respect, Honorable Speaker, looking at Parliament, there has been arrears for the drivers and bodyguards who work here in Parliament, Honorable Speaker. From January, they have not been able to get their dues. Honorable Speaker, I want to confirm that you have put in enough resources to pay the drivers and bodyguards of these members, Honorable Speaker. Their arrears from January to date, Honorable Speaker. And in that respect, I request the National Treasury that they expedite in releasing the exchequer that we have added for the arrears of the bodyguards and drivers, because these are people who have families they need to take care of. They have needs, Honorable Speaker, and the more the reason, just like any other civil servant, we were able to put in the arrears for the bodyguards and drivers so that they get their due arrears from January to date so that they can go about their business in an efficient manner. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, I now wish to request the Honorable Mary Emase I beg to move, Honorable Speaker, having given those points, having said that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the Honorable Majority Leader to second.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And allow me, Honorable Speaker, first to thank our Chairman of the Budget and Appropriations Committee and the members of our Budget and Appropriations Committee, all our chairs for the very good work that they have done over the working recess. You realize, Honorable Speaker, as some of us had time to retreat to our constituencies, many of our departmental committee members, their chairs, and those members of the Budget and Appropriations Committee and the Finance Committee have had a very busy working recess as they considered both the supplementary budget and the annual estimates and the ongoing finance bill engagements over the recess period. And I take this opportunity to thank them for the great work that they have done. And Honorable Speaker, as I second, I want to reemphasize the need, Honorable Speaker, for the National Treasury to ensure that these supplementary budgets, as we have emphasized before, and the Honorable John Buddy, who is here and is a ranking member of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, will tell you that over the years, this House has called on the National Treasury to limit supplementary budgets to at least one supplementary budget within a financial year, so that whatever you plan from your BPS right to the annual estimates, you will only revise it once. Otherwise, the business of having to do budgetary revisions twice, thrice in a year is not very good budgetary practice. And it speaks volumes to the level of preparedness that we have when we are preparing our budgets, Honorable Speaker, and also, in a way, creates uncertainty with the implementing agencies in government as to whether you will have adequate resources to implement all the programs that have been budgeted for you within a certain financial year, Honorable Speaker, since you do not know whether that money is subject to review. And appreciating, Honorable Speaker, the challenges that we've had with liquidity, or rather with the raising of revenues in the country, it is only fair that the National Treasury and those who are planning do so with a lot of prudence to ensure that the revenues we project are as realistic as possible, as close to what the reality is as possible, Honorable Speaker. And we must also take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to call on the Kenya Revenue Authority to pull up their socks, Honorable Speaker, to make sure that we are collecting adequate revenues to ensure that we do not keep revising our budgets through these supplementary budgets. Honorable Speaker, let me also note some good progress. As members will note, we have spoken, Honorable Speaker, at length about how we budget, how transparent our budgeting process is. And I must commend the Budget and Appropriations Committee because this time round, they have been very transparent in attaching the schedule. Honorable Speaker, the schedules that you members will find attached from page 757, or rather the first, all the way from the first to the fourth schedule, Honorable Speaker, including the changes that have been made. And Honorable Speaker, this is very good because it allows members to interrogate what are the changes that have been made by the Budget and Appropriations Committee, so that we avoid the temptation that I've always seen over the years to blame the Budget and Appropriations Committee members that they have reallocated money from here to there without the knowledge of the House. I have seen also members accusing each other. And Honorable Speaker, because I have been part of those members who have been on the receiving end. I saw the member for Yatta the other day ignorantly speaking on TV, saying how much money that was allocated to Kiambu County and was all diverted to Kikuyu constituency. And I wondered, this is a member who sits in this House, budgets, appropriates, is always in this House. Where was he when that money was being reallocated? Because it is not possible for one member of this House to reallocate resources from one or the other constituency to another. It is not possible. These changes are usually in these schedules, and that's why I thank the Chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee because of the disclosures that you are making, so that even as we speak on TV stations, let us not appear on TV to exhibit our ignorance of the budgeting process. And it's good that every new parliament, members of parliament, are taken through the budgeting process of the House. And I think from the schedules I was looking at the induction of this House, we had at least 3.5 hours, an induction program. And I want to encourage the chairman of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, please keep educating members, even as you speak to them, as you engage with them, even through the committees, on how the budgeting process is done, Honorable Speaker, so that even as we speak out there, we speak from a point of knowledge and not just speak because we are riding on things that are circulated on social media or what you think will give you popularity in your village by mentioning other people's names. As I saw the member for Yatta mentioning my name on TV. And I forgave him because I knew he has to mention my name to look relevant to his people. Anyway, Honorable Speaker, moving on from these schedules, there are a number of changes, Honorable Speaker, that are critical, as the Chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee has mentioned. Issues touching on Article 223, again, Honorable Speaker, we did indicate that Article 223, and it has been the position of this House, Article 223 is only to be used in cases of emergency nature. Honorable Speaker, 223 is not to be used to allocate money to the office of the Leader of Majority for tea, because that is not an emergency. But the emergency that we have faced as a country with the flooding, it is good, Honorable Speaker, that we are seeing more resources going towards mitigation of the issues that came with flooding, right from the monies that are being paid to people who are being moved from riparian reserves within the city and in other areas where people have been asked to move away from rivers and areas where they are prone to flooding and other dangers, Honorable Speaker. And money has been put to ensure that these people are well compensated. I am glad, and I must thank the Ministry of Interior, that for the first time, even as we've seen houses being demolished in Nairobi, all the people who are living in those houses, Honorable Speaker, and I did see a statement from the Ministry of Interior confirming that they have compensated those people to ensure that they are able to relocate and move away from areas that would subject them to dangers of flooding and all the issues we see with climate change, Honorable Speaker. And this is the way to go, so that you do not just tell people move out and they do not know where to go to. And the small stipend of 10,000 shillings that these people are receiving is helping them to be able to move to new houses, most of them because are tenants. And also, let me take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to appeal to all our private developers. Please, you do know the riparian reserves are 30 meters from where the river is. Please let us not encroach on our rivers and the riparian reserves, because when these demolitions come, you also lose, as much as many of them may have been warned before. And I pray that the Ministry of Interior and I was asking the chairman of the Budget and Appropriations Committee, but he has promised within the next budgeting cycle they will allocate monies to also ensure that the areas they are demolishing houses are not re-encroached again, so that they are fenced off, they plant trees, and those areas remain riparian reserves. Because as we have been told, we will receive higher than normal rainfall over the next 7 years. And therefore, some of these measures are indeed to guard against some of the dangers that we would see. Honorable Speaker, I have also seen changes, Honorable Speaker, in the State Department for higher education. And I have a particular concern, Honorable Speaker. If you go, Honorable Speaker, to the schedules, a change of 250 million that is going to the Open University on recurrent expenditure, and that, I have been informed, is very well justified. But there is also an increase of 250 million shillings of GOK sponsorships to students in private universities. This, Honorable Speaker, I completely disagree with, and we should be engaging. I was just engaging with the chair of the Education Committee to see indication, because remember, we have changed the funding model of university students and how they are sponsored through government. There was an increase in the annual estimates of 150 million, which was reasonable, considered by the Education Committee and agreed on by the Education Committee. And I see the Budget and Appropriations Committee has had another increment of 250 to total 400 million. And therefore, we'll be engaging with the chair and the chair of education so that tomorrow, as we move to supply, we can make the requisite changes, Honorable Speaker. Considering, Honorable Speaker, that many of our public universities are in dire need. Whether it is Bondo University, whether you go to Southeastern University, whether you go to Tharaka University or Chuka University, whether it is Meru University, all our public universities are in dire need of resources. And I know many of them did engage in very ambitious development projects that many of which are stalled. But, Honorable Speaker, we must also be cognizant as a House to ensure that where we put our resources, they follow the policy that has been set out by government. If government's policy is to move to a new funding system, resources then must be moving towards that new funding system, not away from the new funding system, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, we'll be engaging on that, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, let me say the small changes that are there in a bit of the development expenditures because of the issue of absorption. You know, we only have probably about 3 or 4 weeks before the systems are closed for the new financial year. Honorable Speaker, I do hope that the National Treasury will move with speed to ensure that exchequer releases are also done in time for these MDAs to be able to absorb, especially the development expenditure that is being released at this particular time. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I know there are issues to do with A&A in our MDAs, and I was hoping, Honorable Speaker, that this being the last supplementary budget, we would also see a good review. But let me also take note that the changes that came with the centralized collection of A&A through the e-citizen platform have in a huge way helped government in making sure that all the A&A that is collected by MDAs is properly accounted for. And I want to encourage the government and the National Treasury to ensure that there is seamless, not connectivity, Honorable Speaker, as they say in the Ministry of Roads, but there is seamless engagement between the National Treasury and all our MDAs to ensure that the transactions have that seamless connectivity from their MDAs to the National Treasury to ensure that every coin that is raised by all our MDAs, because we have seen in the past, Honorable Speaker, the last supplementary budget every year has been used by MDAs to do last-minute rush or the last-minute dash towards procurement, because people hide their A&A and they then move to ensure that they are rushing this last month of the financial year to procure goods and services, some of which, Honorable Speaker, from experience and from those who have been here long enough will tell you, especially those that have served in the Public Accounts Committee and the Public Investments Committees, they will tell you most of the corruption issues in government emanate from things that are done either towards the end of a financial year or in the run-up to a general election. That is where you will find most corruption cases emanating in government and in MDAs, and therefore hope that the new system of a centralized system of catering for or accounting for A&A through the e-citizen platform will go a long way into ensuring that we curb this vice that has bedeviled our country for long. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, in the interest of time, let me not say much more, but finally, to just again once more thank the Budget and Appropriations Committee and all our chairs. I know it was not easy for many of them to leave their constituencies during the recess, together with the members of this House who are serving in the departmental committees, to consider the supplementary budget together with the annual estimates, but also to take this opportunity to ask the National Treasury that moving forward, maybe from the next financial year, once we are done with the estimates, annual estimates next week, Honorable Speaker, as we have moved this morning on the procedural motions to allow us time to be able to engage on this supplementary budget, DORA, or the Division of Revenue Bill, as mediated. On I know the CARA is also coming, Honorable Speaker. There is also the Equalization Fund appropriation report from the Senate, Honorable Speaker, and the annual estimates. As we finish with those next week and allow the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury to come and make his statement next week on Thursday, Honorable Speaker, as was communicated by the Speaker's office yesterday afternoon, we do hope that we will be able to have finalized all this, but also to request the National Treasury, moving forward next year, let us minimize our supplementary budget to at least one in a year. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Honorable members, before I propose the question, allow me to recognize the presence of Matungulu Boys High School from Kangundo constituency in Machakos County, who are seated in the public gallery. Welcome to the National Assembly. I also wish to recognize our guests who are seated in the Speaker's gallery. The guests actually joined our Catholic members of Parliament for prayers this morning, and they are the Sisters of the Immaculate, Father Lazarus of Tangaza University, Reverend Linda of the Anglican Church. Welcome, and as a Loreto Catholic girl, I welcome you personally. And on behalf of the National Assembly, welcome. Thank you. Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the second supplementary estimates for the financial year 2023-2024, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 4th June 2024, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 2023 of the Constitution and Standing Order 243, 1, approves an increment of the total current expenditure